I'm sure we all know exactly what the Ten Commandments look like. It's pretty famous picture. You guys can all kind of imagine it. It's 2 tablets. And something that I've always kind of wondered, how long has it been 2 tablets? How long has it always been depicted as 2 tablets? And is there any significance behind the 2 tablets? And so, of course, I decided to research just a smidgen, and into the Second Temple period, we see that the Ten Commandments are in fact depicted as 2 tablets. And the rabbis even then were wondering, what's the deal? What's the meaning of all of this? And Rabbi Hananiah, son of Gamliel, who was living in the 1st century during the time of the Roman prosecutions, decided that all 10 were written on each of the 2 tablets, is what he was famous for saying. But there's definitely a connection from the 1st and the 6th, and the 2nd and the 7th, and all the way down the line. I think you guys can get the understanding. And he highlights in his commentary, I, the Lord, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt, the house of bondage. That's the first one, is 100% in his mind, connected with the 6th, thou shalt not murder. The concept that Rabbi Hananiah points out is that human beings were created in the image of God. And he highlights the positioning of the commandments is the theological basis to emphasize that. A statement that we already read and know and learn about in Genesis, he decides that the 10 Commandments makes an even louder push for the sanctity of human life, and that humans must be treated with dignity. In a second midrash, also stemming from the same time period, we see a story, and actually an analogy of a king who has himself created in imagery, in statues and coins and portraits and in presses. And as you can see, time passes and those images are diminished. And for the king, it's almost as if somebody has shed his blood. And same goes the analogy that if we diminish the beauty of humanity, we are in fact diminishing God's beauty who's flowing through us. Today, I think we can think of moments when we forget that human life is sacred. We are so busy, perhaps focused in our own world, focused on our own needs, that we definitely forget that most human life, all human life, is sacred. Some of us may think that we're better than other people. Some of us may act as if we're better than other people. But this theology that was taught by Rabbi Hananiah at a time when he himself was being persecuted for being a Jew in the land of Israel by the Roman authorities pushes that all human life is sacred, which is a radical thing at that time, because Roman ideology and Roman society had that Romans had and were superior and to other people in their kingdom. But lessons that I think we need to remember, even stemming from the Holocaust more recently, and I know we know the term never forget, but I think what never forget really means in light of Rabbi Hananiah's teaching is that we must always fight the ideology of superior and inferior races, something that even we see as challenging in American society at times. And failing to do so will inevitably lead to violence and the taking of life by extremists who believe that they are acting in the name of God. This week, I had the privilege of going up to Atlanta, where I was able to meet a survivor of the Nova Festival, somebody for whom saw an extremist face to face, someone for whom they saw what it means to treat life as if one group is superior and one group is inferior. And I went from hearing her story of near death, of watching people die in atrocious ways around her, hearing the pain of her trauma and the survivor's guilt that she inevitably was walking around with. And I walked out of that room and I walked across the street into the Capitol building, where I was positioned right next to Chris Carr, the Attorney General, and one person behind the governor, as the governor signed the anti-Semitism bill into law, highlighting and trying to truly emphasize how no group of people is superior or inferior to others. And when we see that being treated, that one group is inferior, this law is designed to guarantee that that is something that simply will not be tolerated in the state of Georgia. What I think is striking, all the more so for me, at least for me, when I was thinking through what all of that meant, was that we still struggle 2,000 years later with a recognition of what it really means to live out the understanding that life is sacred, that no one group is more superior than another, and that we need to treat everybody as if their life is in the image of God. And how challenging is that for us today, when we are full of fear, when we have doubt, when we have stresses, and perhaps even walking through that and living through that and understanding that rings Rabbi Hananiah's words for the radical nature that they were delivered so long ago. First, he himself experienced firsthand during those same Roman persecutions of what it meant to be oppressed and what it meant to have your life flash before your very eyes. And at that moment of deep fear, he decided to highlight how everybody is equal and everybody is in the divine image. May that push that he offered be something that we ourselves are able to live out today, even as we are confronted with our own fears. Shabbat Shalom.